early morning, time to go see Bay. It's a work in progress.
Alright guys, welcome back. This is vlog number 2. You guys asked for it, and Mike's Custom Mobile Detailing wanted to make sure you got it. So here we are. Today on this episode, we're going to talk about mass airflow sensors. What are they? How they work? Some common types. So to start, the mass airflow sensor typically will sit in a vehicle's intake tube. Right near the air filter, in between where it meets up the throttle body usually. And what this sensor does, it measures the amount of air coming into the engine, or it measures the amount of airflow in a particular engine. In some custom applications where you have like nitrous systems, you may need to play with sensor placement due to the fact that you might get spray onto the sensor either going forward or even, which you wouldn't think you would see but can happen, back spray. I've seen that a couple times. It gives you a weird MAF reading and then tuning becomes a whole mess. Not fun. So you might need to do that. Also, just a note, MAFs do not like being wet to begin with. Even some of the cleaners, they really do more damage than they do good for your mass airflow sensor. If you think you have a bad MAF, I'd just replace it. I know it can be expensive. They do have core charges on them usually. I've seen in the industry anywhere from 18 to 50 bucks, sometimes 75. But yeah, that really is your best option there. Don't trust any of the cleaners. They really don't do a good job. One other thing you need to know, most newer cars, the mass airflow sensor will usually have an intake air temperature sensor located not that far, usually internal to the sensor. So what is a hot wire mass airflow sensor? Well, a hot wire mass airflow sensor has an actual small piece of wire that you can sometimes see if you take a look at one. And what they do is they pass an electronic current through there. Another thing you need to know about a hot wire MAF, these are one of the MAFs that have the intake air temperature sensors inside them. They're usually around the hot wire and they're usually internal to the sensor, although I have seen one or two where it has been mounted on the outside. Alright, so what is the mass airflow sensor used for? The mass airflow sensor is used for the PCM to make decisions. What these decisions are, basically, it takes the data that it's being given from this sensor and various other sensors, and then it kind of bounces them back off some of the tables the computer already knows, and kind of figures out where the fueling should be. And kind of how that works is, we'll start with idle. Now, idle, you're not going to have a lot of airflow, relatively speaking, going into the engine. I mean, yeah, it's going to be a lot compared to like what we would breathe in, but it's going to be relatively small. And how it works is, with that little airflow, it doesn't take a lot of draw to keep the mass airflow hot, that hot wire we were talking about. However, once you start stepping on the gas and you start increasing more airflow, it starts becoming harder and harder to keep that. And it uses that voltage reading, once you get that resistance, to kind of figure out where its fueling needs to be. That's when it sends a signal to the PCM, and the PCM decides how much fuel to give the motor. Alright, so if you're having trouble reaching your target air-to-fuel ratio, you probably want to do some mass airflow error tuning.